We have big news coming in from Ukraine. According to Ukraine's armed forces, Russian troops are now attempting to advance on the Kyiv city from northwest and east, which means capturing nearby roads and villages. The Russian forces are currently being held back by Ukraine's forces. So this is big. Remember, it is eventually the city of Kyiv, which is right now still where Ukraine says it is holding fort. But according to our sources, according to the Ukraine's armed forces, the Russian troops are attempting to advance on Kyiv from two sides, northwest and east. And that happens capturing nearby roads and villages. Russian forces, for now, at some degree, have been held back by Ukraine. So that's the big news coming in. Remember, 33 days on, and now Volodymyr Zelensky, who is Ukraine's president, says ready for negotiations. The negotiations are likely to take place in Turkey today. And Vladimir Putin also from day one very defiant despite heavy sanctions placed against him by the Western powers, whether it's the Europe or the United States of America. He is not budging. Remember, just about 2 days ago, United States of America's President Joe Biden was in Poland, in Warsaw, where there was a multilateral meeting taking place with regard to NATO, G7, European Union, and yet the war is still on. Rajesh Pawar is in Kyiv. Rajesh, you are where it is likely that final assault, as we have been calling it, is set to take place. But what does it mean when we say northwest and east? So, of course, this means two directions that Russia will want to completely encircle the city, not giving an option to Ukraine.
Look, the situation seems to be like there were heavy blasts today, about 7 to 8 blasts in the north of the city, in the suburbs, away about 8 to 9 kilometers away from the center. Looks like that the Russian army, even if they're not inching forward, even if they're not moving forward, they are maintaining, they are trying to beef up their defenses around the city. They want to encircle the city, at least in the northeast and northwest directions, so that they have two axes coming from Brovary, which is in northeast, and coming from Irpin, which is northwest, secure. These blasts or these attacks could also be on the Ukrainian defenses, because they want to continue to deplete the potential, the fighting potential of the Ukrainian army, which is based inside Kyiv. So this could be the reason that we heard these blasts and from the north of the city in the morning today. Heavy blasts, 7 to 8 of them.
So there are some explosions taking place, as Rajesh Pawar is telling us from Kyiv. Rajesh, I request you to please stay on with me. We are also joined by India Today's senior executive editor, Gaurav Sawant, who's been now traversing countries to get us this reportage from the ground. Gaurav, what does it look like for Kyiv? Because these are if two sides that we are talking about. Does it mean Ukraine may not be able to stand ground? What are you picking up from the conflict zone?
It will be a bloody battle, and it already threatens to be a very bloody battle for every inch of territory here. There are some videos that are going viral that show the kind of damage that has been caused so far. As we walk across, and we will walk across and show you what's happening on ground here. It is extremely tense. People are very nervous. They are on edge. And anytime you bring out a camera, it does lead to a lot of friction and tension anywhere. People threaten to break your cameras, even if they're not the security forces, because they think every bit of information that goes out helps the adversary. And why are we saying that? Because blasts are increasingly hitting closer home in the sense in the inside capital Kyiv, around capital Kyiv, on the outskirts. Multiple blasts were heard through the day today. Even the place where we are reporting, this is the heart of Kyiv, and from anywhere people turn up and say switch off your cameras, go away from here, do not film here, despite having all clearances and papers. So it just shows how nervous the atmosphere is. Ever since we got here yesterday, there have been a series of blasts that were heard. Early this morning, there were multiple blasts while we were reporting on the outskirts of Kyiv. Now, some of these areas, we are told that the Russians made multiple advances, and this is information that's coming from the government here. On two flanks, there were advances from the Russian side, and both were beaten back, which means the Ukrainian armed forces are fighting back and fighting hard, resulting in casualties. Incidentally, those images are going viral in social media, the capturing and killing of soldiers. Those images are viral. We're not putting them out because they're not verified just as yet.
Correct.
But it just shows that the lull that was expected, that lull really has led to intensification of operations on ground.
So, Gaurav, because you've seen Kyiv for a month now, can we say that what Kyiv was comparatively calmer a few weeks ago, that tense atmosphere has taken over this central city as well?
Oh, absolutely. The India Today TV got here on the 17th
Correct.
of February, and there's been a sea change from 17th of February till date. Initially we saw a lot of partying that was happening on the streets. That partying has given way to a very, very tense atmosphere all around. You only see the elderly. You see a lot of security forces virtually everywhere. Every signboard that you see here says NATO enforce a no-fly zone. Every signboard seeks a no-fly zone in this area. So the situation is very tense compared to what it was. Also, given the fact 32 days of conflict, this is day 33. Yes. 32 days of conflict, 32 days of bloodshed, loss of life, losing near and dear ones. It does lead to a lot of tension on ground in lives. Of course, if I were to show you, for example, this store, this is a medical store here. It's completely boarded. It's open. People are going for shopping, but window panes covered. Why? Because there is apprehension that there could be bombing of this area. So all windows are being boarded. There's curfew in place. Only those with an emergency pass are out on the streets. So it is a tense atmosphere in Kyiv. Completely different from the Kyiv we witnessed in the second week of February before the 24th February operation started.
Gaurav, if I request you please to stay on for a while, as long as it is convenient and comfortable for you and your camera crew as well at that point. A quick question from Rajesh. Rajesh, how does Kyiv you think has changed in the past few days, one? And secondly, we're expecting negotiations to be taking place in Turkey today. Should we expect there could be a conclusion coming in? Or do you think it's just going to be like any other talks that have taken place these days?
Look, this is the sixth round of talks now happening between Ukrainians and the Russians in Istanbul, which will take place today evening. Everybody is hopeful that something should come out of this, and I have two reasons to believe that probably something will come out of this. One, Zelensky now feels that he is totally isolated. The kind of help he was expecting from the West, from NATO countries, from United States, he has not got that kind of help. Remember, he made a statement something like, we cannot shoot down missiles with rifles, which means to say they are not properly equipped to fight Russian army, and his appeals for more modern equipment, better anti-aircraft systems, more military aircrafts, and enforcement of a no-fly zone has fallen on deaf ears. He has not got what he wanted, and with the limited stock of ammunition and armament they have, until fresh stocks come in, I don't think Ukrainian army can continue their resistance against the Russian army for a long time. And that is one reason which makes me believe that some kind of softening of stance by Ukrainians and probably some kind of breakthrough in the talks is possible. So, secondly, on the Russian side also we see there is softening of stand. They are not now talking too much about Donbass, the neutral status which Ukraine has agreed to. They have given indication that they're willing to talk and they're willing to negotiate with Ukrainians. So I think there's a possibility diplomacy may have a better chance this time.
So that means sanctions against Russia, exhaustion to a level, and realizing they don't have the military might in Ukraine. Both of that now showing perhaps both sides now want negotiations. Rajesh, if precisely bombing is not yet happening in Kyiv, can you tell us which all areas and which all cities are facing bombardment actively, even right now, even today as we speak?
Look, the Kyiv had a heavy bombardment today morning. I was reporting over India Today when this was happening, at a time when the anchor was asking me questions and the bombing was happening. 7 to 8 big blasts, and all of them could not be just rocket blasts. I think there were a few missile blasts also on a bigger target, which happened in the morning today. This has happened almost after 3 to 4 days in Kyiv, such large-scale bombing which happened today morning. Besides this, there are counterattacks going on by Ukraine forces in the area of Kharkiv, in the southwest of Kharkiv. There have been counterattacks and there have been fighting taking place between the two forces in the southeast of Kharkiv. Also in Mariupol, the reports that Mariupol is still not completely under Russian control, in the sense that there are pockets which are still giving resistance and there is fighting going on there as well. But as I said, Russian forces in the second phase of their operations will maintain pressure by bombarding west of Ukraine, with missiles and with air raids. Over to you.
So Rajesh is telling us where all still bombardment and shelling is taking place. Gaurav, let's talk about Donetsk, because that's one of the Russian support we can see that could become now a problem for Ukraine. Do you think these are, of course, different front war that Ukraine is fighting? It's not Russia directly. It's also the rebel-backed supporters there for Russia in Donetsk and perhaps other areas that's becoming a problem for Ukraine.
So Donetsk and Luhansk, 30% were already in control of Russian-backed forces before the 24th of February, before the operation started. Subsequently, Russians have advanced in this area. Information that we have seems to indicate that from 30% of territory, they now control virtually 70 to 80% of the territory, even though the Russians themselves claim that they control 90% of Donbass as on date. Mariupol, the city that Rajesh was talking about, in Mariupol you have Russian tanks inside the city. Of course, there are pitched battles that are still being fought street by street for control. The Azov battalion, which Russia keeps talking about, that these are the ultra nationalists of this country that Russian president describes as neo-Nazis in this area. Well, the Azov battalion is fighting back and fighting back very hard. And now they say it's not a battalion, it's expanded to a regiment. So there is fierce fighting for control of Mariupol, but overall the region... Okay. Overall, the region, okay, so, they're checking our pass, asking why are we going live. That's the security forces in this country. This is the level of nervousness that we're talking about as of now in this country. They check your mobile phone, they check your documents, because even as we speak, we see some military hardware moving from one place to the other. So he's verifying all our documents, and, hopefully we would be able to continue reporting. So thank you very much.
Please stay safe. That's more important.
This is the level of security and reporting that's going on at this point of time. No, but we always tell them that we have facts, we have our documents, we have all clearances and verification, and we are not showing sensitive buildings. The moment there is military movement in any area, we move our cameras away. And it's not just men in uniform like this gentleman or these gentlemen around us. There are also those in plain clothes, and those are the ones that you really have to be very careful about. Men, women, including some youngsters, they walk around in plain clothes, see what you're shooting. They're secretly filming you at all times, and there are multiple cameras of journalists that have been smashed here. Journalists have been locked up, their mobile phones checked. In case there's any sensitive information of any military movement or checkpoint, those journalists are locked up with several embassies having packed their bags and moved out of Ukraine. The situation in this hot war is extremely grim and tense.
Thank you so much, Gaurav Sawant and Rajesh Pawar, for this continuous coverage that you're bringing us from the war zone. The situation definitely not easy and is not getting easier by the day. I'll come back to you in just a short while. Please stay safe.